This recording is how our members of our EDA group work the steps. It's not meant to be a substitute for going to meetings or reading the literature as written in the EDA Big Book. This is just our interpretation of how the step has worked for us. So step 10. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. The long form of EDA's step 10 suggests we continued and continue to listen to our conscience. When trouble, we get honest, make amends, and change our thinking or behavior. We continue to notice what we do right, and we are grateful when engaged in right thinking and positive action. The keys to step 10. Deal with things as they come up and don't wait. Keep it simple. Avoid perfectionism and make it daily. So this is important, make it daily. Keep it balanced. Cover first things first. Take care of basics. Find the humor. Be an adult. Deal with problems directly. Get open with others. Be flexible. Do the work. So when writing the 10th step, it's essential to practice moderation and balance in working each of the steps. It's encouraged to not take too long. Keep what you can and leave the rest. So this step 10 is a daily inventory, and so it's basically this, well, it is the same format as step 4. However, it's meant to be all-encompassing, so it's not meant to be this long drawn-out thing. So I love this, and oftentimes we start our meetings, right, with sharing step 10. It's a nice way to catch someone up with the last 24 hours. So it's just sitting down every day, whether you do it in the morning or in the evening. Some people like it in the morning, some in the evening. I typically do it kind of, just to be honest, whenever I get the time to do it throughout the day, and then that sort of resets my next 24 hours. But it's writing down, and like literally writing down. I know it's like easy to say I'll do it in my head, but then it's kind of different. So just putting on paper everything that happened in the last 24 hours, all the emotional ups and downs, just like writing it down. So I had written down traveling alone, eating with others, comparison, judgment, happiness, pride, fear, concern, just like everything that comes up in the last 24 hours. And then writing down the sources, the reasons, what's at fact, the errors and the parts, and the resolutions. And then looking at what needs to be done urgently and what needs to be discussed with someone else, like right now, gratitude and goals. And so no more than 20 minutes doing step 10. And the nice thing about doing step 10, it's like, I think about it like a shower. Mm-hmm. Like it literally, it's not like a surgery or like getting your hair colored. Like you're not going to be able to make that kind of a cleaning or like getting your teeth. It's more like brushing your teeth than going to the dentist. You know, like it's something that you do every day to get the residue off of your teeth without going and doing like a deep clean. Like a deep cleaning to me would be like going, that would be like a step 4. Like going and getting a dental hygienist to go in and like actually like floss and all that would be like a step 4. And then step 10 would be just like a daily brushing of your teeth.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. And I think it's important. I like that you pointed out that it takes about 20 minutes. That this, like listing all of that sounds daunting, but it is just, I mean, we all know that like journaling can be very helpful. This is just that. It's a little bit of directed journaling just to make sure you're touching on those points. I specifically like the, is there anything that you need to do urgently? Like set right to a new route. Like don't let it fester. Don't let it sit there. Don't let the guilt build. Just take care of it. Is there something you need to discuss with someone? You know, what are you grateful for? Like, I think it's just such a good balance of acknowledging what was hard about that day and what was great about that day.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like, okay, so this is another analogy. I sometimes go crazy with analogies. But if I don't turn the garbage disposal on and I turn the dishwasher on, I guess they're like connected. And in the morning you wake up and right, the smell and like the residual stuff in the garbage disposal is kind of like sitting in the bottom of the sink. But when I like drain out the garbage disposal and then run the dishwasher, it doesn't do that. So I guess what I'm saying is it's almost like a garbage disposal flushing and turning on, because otherwise it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then it starts to smell. And so like that could be, think of all that was sitting in your head, it would start to smell and stink, you know? Yeah. And it's a chance to get, like you said, get rid of it before it becomes heavy, because when it becomes heavy and it becomes stuck and there's like a space for it in there, then that's when the behaviors start to creep in.
Yeah.
So so I'll share one of my 10th steps. So I wrote down all the events that had happened in the last 24 hours, and I shared those a few minutes ago. So I had comparison, excitement, impulsivity, response, judgment, happiness, pride, fear, doubts. And then one of the problems that arose in my last 24 hours had been when I was traveling alone. And so the source was traveling alone, and that caused anxiety, loneliness, and being alone with myself. And what was at risk and what affected was my relationships, my self-worth, and my ability to experience life. And so my error was not practicing that and avoiding it and avoiding that feeling and just not doing it. And my resolution was to do it more and step out of my comfort zone. And so my urgent need was to, and to set right new wrongs, was to spend more time with my kids and my husband, because I think I was feeling like when I was traveling, I missed them, but because I wasn't really spending time with them when I was there. And then I said I needed to discuss that just with my husband and to share that I had that feeling. And then I was grateful for them. Like, I was grateful for my kids and my husband, that my husband supported me in going away, and grateful for my kids that I did have this love for missing them. And my goal was to, it says, a reminder of what I may need, or one or two things that I can do today to lighten someone else's load or make me proud to be a human being. And I decided to be happy with the fact that I had created human life 3 times.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was just a quick inventory when I got stuck in the fear of traveling alone, and it just allowed me to set perspective on that and get kind of clean with that. And once it was down on paper, it was truly like I had just done that work, I had gotten rid of the dirty stuff, and then I could move on to being of service to others.
Well, and you got to the resolution.
Yeah.
So often we get stuck in, like, maybe even the effects, or maybe we get stuck on, like, my part of it and that self-blame and that guilt, or we never look close enough at it or take an objective enough look at it to figure out, well, what can I do to make this better? And is it, spending more quality time when I get back home, having the conversation with my husband? Like, those are all very real and helpful resolutions. And if you hadn't taken inventory that day, that's one of those instances that would have just gone to the back burner.
Yeah, and that's why the first time I did my 4-step, it took like years, it felt like, because there was so much, and there was so much on that back burner, if you will, that it almost, like, if you leave something in the pot, it got encrusted, and it's just very hard to rinse something once it's sat for a while versus rinsing it right away. And so doing this every day and keeping it simple, there's such an ability to be amazed with how clear and easy things can become when they're constantly addressed.
I loved, going back to what you read initially, I love the be an adult.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just, and it goes with the be an adult and deal with problems directly. And I think, I know for me personally, I would often get stuck in that self-pity, or that like, why me? Why do I have to? Everyone's doing this to me. Well, no, like, if I put my foot down, if I was an adult and addressed this head on, things could go differently. And it's up to me. Like, I'm the one that has to take care of basics. I'm the one that has to keep it balanced. I'm the one that has to avoid perfectionism.
Yeah, nobody's going to do it for you.
No, they love my perfectionism.
Right. Oh, yeah, and they'll let you stay in that default.
Yeah.
They're like, I love that she's meticulous. Yeah.
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 I love that one of the other things that we should be doing is be flexible. I love that she's stringent and, always shows up on time and always whatever. And it's not to say that you should let it all go to the other extent. Like, I struggle with that very black and white thinking of, okay, well, I'm not going to be perfect, so that doesn't mean you can't do it at all.
Right.
You have to still do it.
Right.
So I think a lot of those spoke to me as well. But the be an adult, I love that they actually wrote that down, because I think it's such something that EDA does so well, is that it's never condescending, but it also never babies you. Like,
No.
it's very clear and very direct about the
Just do it.
expectation.
Yeah.
Like, no excuses. Like, no pity parties here.
Uh-huh. Well, and I love this part too, like find the humor. Life is short and lives are precious, but our responses to life challenges are often hilarious. I mean, it is in perspective. When you look at something on paper and you get it out third party, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's hilarious. Like when you look at what the source is and the reason, the cause, and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's how I chose to deal with it. It is hilarious. It's often hilarious. I mean, and you know, that whole thing, if you didn't laugh, you cry, you know,
Right.
but there has to be that perspective to give balance that doesn't minimize or dramatize it,
Yeah.
because it's not giving it too much weight and it's not taking all the weight away from it.
Yeah, don't take it too seriously, and
Yeah.
balanced with also, if it matters to you, look a little closer, I guess.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for next time. And until then, every day, continue to take personal inventory. And when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 10.
And where can they find resources?
Resources are online at eatingdisordersanonymous.org. You can find the EDA Big Book as well as the workbook to guide you through the steps.
Great.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.